Hello everyone, my name is Wojciech Pazdur and I'm really happy to be here in beautiful Kyrgyzstan, in Bishkek particularly, and I'm happy to be able to talk to you about some of my projects, about some lessons that I have learned throughout my work in the industry, and I hope you will find it fruitful. So yeah, the title of my presentation is about kickstarting and building community for your game, having little or almost no budget. Why I said little or almost no budget? Because technically speaking, you cannot do anything not having any budget. But what I'm saying here by the budget means spending money. If you are an indie creator, you are able to spend not much money, especially on the community building, on the marketing, but you are able to spend some of your time on doing this. And what I will try to prove, it's very important to allocate this budget, meaning your time, to deal with your community, because this, for indie creator, it's probably the only way to sell your game to the public. And now, oh yeah, I got this. So first of all, just few words about my company. The Farm 51 has been founded in 2005, and it was basically indie company because there was only 3 guys. We have almost no budget for anything for a few months. We have been working for free, meaning not getting any salary, just trying to prepare the demo version of our first game. So even if right now the company is relatively big, it has more than 100 people on board, and we have 2 big projects ongoing, we still keep this indie style of doing different things, including the community building. So we got several projects. There's not all of our games. Mostly our games were action games. Mostly our game was first-person shooter games, just done with very small budgets and with relatively tight timelines and not big teams. So one of the examples that I will focus on right now is the bad example, meaning example of bad community building. GameDev 2017 was a relatively good game, meaning it had good reviews, and the people who played the game was saying, yes, this game is good. I have met many people on different conferences around the world who was telling me, well, GameDev is one of the best games or one of the best stories I have ever seen in the games. Just the thing is that, excuse me, there was not enough people who bought this game because we didn't have big enough community. And this was the reason why this game was never commercial success and why we had to abandon this IP, this subject, because it was simply not easy way to make it profitable, to make another version of the game or another part of the game as something really, let's say, delivered to the market. So the problem with GameDev was that, first of all, the subject of the game was not easy to explain. If you will see the box art of the game, you see some sad girl, or maybe it's a boy. He or she is crying. There is some light in the background. It gives you nothing, basically, about the game, besides of the fact that probably it's a little sad. And if something is a little sad, and you have no idea what is it, then probably you will skip this. Just one of the lessons that we have made. The other thing is that we originally actually started to make this game in the proper way. We were indie creators. We started to build our community, and we have built some community on the beginning of the development. But then, because we didn't have money to finalize the development, we have signed the publishing deal. And having the publishing deal, all marketing activities were taken by the publisher, And publisher was not basically doing community building. Publisher was doing regular marketing, meaning they were buying advertising, they were paying the press for making some articles about us, they were paying some agencies to make some teasers for social media and so on and so on. The result was that in first year, when we were building our community, we have gathered like 10,000 of followers on Facebook, and I don't remember how many on other social platforms. And when it was switched to so-called regular marketing activities or mainstream marketing activities, it got like another 1,000 of followers with much higher budget. Because simply doing marketing or doing community building for indie game in the same way as you do for AAA titles, just with smaller budgets, it simply is not working. So we didn't have community engagement because we are not communicating directly with the community, and we simply didn't have good sales of this game, despite of this game was reviewed quite good. So we took a lesson, and then we have started to make another game, the game that was called Chernobylite. And we tried to fix everything that we have done wrong within the development of GetEven to succeed this time. And besides of the fact that Chernobylite is generally a better game, but it's better game because it has better concept. It has better concept because this concept was made from the scratch with the idea that we not only have to make a good game, but we also have to make a good game and deliver to the players something that they will fully understood, fully acknowledge, fully get into their hearts. So on the other side, we got clear and easy to explain game concept. I will explain it in a moment later, deeper. And we had direct communication channels with players, and we kept it for the whole development. Like, forget, even after 1 year of community building, we have pushed away our marketing to the publisher, and we have stopped communicating with the community because it was officially the role of the publisher marketing specialist. So for Chernobylite, we never stopped communicating with our community. We have been growing and growing and growing and building and communicating with our community all the time. Even right now, 2 years after game release, we still communicate with the community because we still want more people to get to know about our game and more people to support us and more people to buy the game. So what was the difference between the first game and the second game? The easiest way to explain it for me personally is that many people, maybe some of you too, think that if you are into the game industry, that one day you will become a movie star because you are making something action-based, because you are making something that people will pay you for, because you are making some artistic creation, and so on. But on the other side, you got absolutely no chance to reach the quality and the budgets that most of the movie blockbusters have. So if you today would be, let's say, somebody who wants to become a filmmaker, you would probably not start shooting the Hollywood-style movie, but you would probably become a YouTuber or a kind of other platform content creator. What does it mean? You would interact with your community, not count on the big marketing budgets, not count on the big production budgets. So from my perspective, what you have to do to build your community is actually everything what people who are pretending YouTubers or social media wannabe influencer should be doing. Meaning there is no shortcut. We have been guesting yesterday the D-Billions organization hub office. We have seen how professional they are. We have seen how much work and how much effort they are spending every day. Even right now when they have budget, when they have a lot of people working for them, they are spending every day to keep their community growing and to somehow communicate with their community. Of course, having relatively big budgets and having, excuse me, a team already, it's much easier. But still, if you are social media influencer, you have totally different measures that you need to follow than when you are trying to be Hollywood movie star. So for instance, how to make a clear message and set up your identity. Once again, if we go back to GetEven, you see that you have box art and you have game name that is telling you basically nothing. Of course, it has some deep meaning, it has good story behind this, it has good game idea behind this, but it's not catchy. It doesn't touch you when you look at this, besides of the fact that maybe somebody crying is giving you some slight vibe of sadness, but nothing else. On the other side, if you will look on some of the first pictures that we have published related to Chernobylite game, you will see that we decide that this game is survival horror and it's taking place in Chernobyl. And that was our message. Survival horror because it gives you the genre of the game, it gives you imagination about what the gameplay could be, even if it's not totally clear, but it gives you some vibe about what the gameplay could be. And Chernobyl, as the place, is about the post-apocalyptic scenario, it's about the tragic history, it's about something related to certain region of Earth. So it gives you, let's say, regional hook about where it takes place and what this action can be. And this picture, like many other pictures that we have published in relation to our game, was trying to show it all. Like you got Chernobyl, meaning this post-apocalyptic, destroyed and sad scenery, and then you got this guy in the gas mask, which is a bit overwhelmed, which is probably suffering from radiation or from some disease, or is simply very exhausted because he has to fight to survive. So we made the idea that our message is survival horror in Chernobyl, and then whatever we'll be communicating about this game will be supporting these three words, like survival horror and Chernobyl. And we have been very, let's say, insisting on doing that, even if from some time to time we have been doing some other artworks, but in all big marketing pushes that we have done, we have been trying to support this clear vision to make sure that we are dealing with people who are into this vision. Like we are not trying to lie to somebody that, well, the game will be about something different, because they could be tricked that, okay, I like this game because it has something interesting, but if we would not deliver this because they thought it's something different, then simply the game would be not for them and they would not like the final output. So we wanted to gather people who will like what we are going to deliver them, obviously, but not that simple if you think about it deeper. But to stay indie, you need to have people to back you up. As I mentioned, if you are not having a publisher, if you are not having a big investor who is giving you money, the only way to get money sooner or later and be able to sell the game and earn something, or be able to finish the development because you don't have budget to make all the production, it's to have people to back you up. So what you are doing then, you are building your community. Because if you don't have some big guy support, or you may have some big guy support, but if you don't want big guys to control what you are doing, you need to have your supporters. And you need to have many of them, and they need to be very dedicated to you. So you keep delivering them this message. Like you got another picture here, and it's following the same pattern. Chernobyl, meaning post-apocalyptic scenery, and survival and horror because it's all dark green, and this guy is wearing some backpack and is wearing protective gears, and this protective gears is somehow destroyed or damaged, so meaning it's having a hard time. The same message, just on the other picture. So what's very important and what's the crucial for community building, it's never about quantity, meaning it matters how much followers you have. it matters how much likes you have under your posts or under your videos or under your screenshots and trailers, but this big amount of people is important only because between them there is some group of people that will love you, not just like you. Basically, you are building community not for reach, not for how many displays of trailers you get, but for how many valuable supporters, how many valuable community members you will get from this group. So for instance, if you had 1,000 followers on Twitter, it's better than 100, but it's better not just because it's 1,000. The 1,000 people that are following you on Twitter will not buy your game, I can guarantee you. But there is a small percentage of these people, like 10 people, maybe 20, maybe 50, that will be dying hard fans of you. If you keep delivering them good content, they will love you. And when they will love you, they will share your post. They will tell about your game to other people. And that's the key thing, that if you want to measure if you are let's say, proceeding well, you should check not how many likes you got, but how many hearts you got, especially on Facebook. Yeah, you got like and love icon. So like is good, but love is what really matters. So this is the picture that illustrates it a bit. As another illustration from our game. It was kind of joke we have released on the Valentine's Day because we wanted to give the message to people, you see, our game is game about love. We hope you love us too, and stuff like this. It was a kind of joke, but people were reacting to it very well. And besides of that, we got a love story in the game. It was not that important from the marketing point of view, but playing with the idea of love, of dedication, of something that is touching, getting people together is also a good idea if you just know how to do it. So first of all, you need to keep delivering people the content, because the idea is like you start development of the game at year X and you release it like 1 year later, 2 years later, 3 years later, depend on how big is the game. And this is the time you need to use wisely to build your community. If you are starting from the scratch, like if you are not famous people, if you don't have thousands of millions of followers already who will buy your game anyway, then you should not wait until the month before release of the game or 2 months before release of the game, hoping that, okay, then people will get this because our game is so great. No, every social media influencer, even the biggest ones, even the ones that have millions of followers and billions of views, they would say that they were starting by doing repetitive tasks of community building by delivering the content. So the content is the only thing that matters. The content can be different things. For instance, we have specified that because we are making the game about Chernobyl zone, we are going to Chernobyl to make 3D scanning to get access to the game, then we'll be also releasing beautiful pictures of Chernobyl. That was our idea, that whenever we came to Chernobyl, we were making photos, and because these photos are relatively cheap to be made, then we have been able to make many of them, prepare like hundreds of photos on one trip to Chernobyl, and then every day release them on Instagram or Facebook to keep people interested and to add some stories up to this and to make them attached to us. Of course, you could say, but, well, what my game has no beautiful environment so far, and we are not going to Chernobyl, so what should we do? My answer is, you should do something that is related to your game and what will make your, let's say, community interested. For instance, my friend who is doing some other indie game who started recently, he's absolutely no graphic artist, no photographer, but he's good at telling the stories. So he's writing posts on Reddit. Regularly, he's writing some posts on Reddit related to the story of his game. His game is about something like castle building, medieval times. So he's in all whole groups on Reddit, or he's joining the groups on Reddit, which has discussions about medieval times and medieval castles and stuff like this. And he is posting a lot of content regarding this. From time to time, putting the content related to his game. What is important? This is the content. He is writing something that people find valuable for them. They simply want to read this or they want to watch it, like in the case of the pictures. We also tried to be YouTuber, meaning tried to make movies about Chernobyl history and so on, and we didn't succeed so much about this. For some reasons, pictures were resonating much better than movies, so we have decided we still, right now, are doing both things like movies and pictures, but at this moment we mostly focus on pictures because pictures give us immediate response and they are much cheaper to produce. And what is important, we started to do so before our game was ready to show, before we had good graphics. We needed something to show to people, even not being able to show screenshots from the game. Because later on we switched to showing screenshots, or we are mixing photos and screenshots. But at the beginning, we have figured out that this will be our content that we'll try to put to the players and keep them interested in the subject of the game. So anyway, to go for this marathon, saying this marathon, not the sprint, you need to gather resources. So you need to make sure that ultimately you have the budget of your time that you will allocate within your team or with somebody who can help you to make this kind of communication with players on any channel you will choose. Either it's Twitter or Facebook or Reddit. You may try different channels. We have been actually trying different channels. I will not tell you what is the best to communicate about your game, because it's all related to the game and to the content you are able to provide. But anyway, you need to gather resources, meaning at least you need to have collection of materials that you will be publishing, or you need to find time to be able to produce them just in time, and you need to prepare that since the beginning of community building to the release of the game, and later on you will keep doing so, because that's the only way when you keep your community growing and growing. But what's also important, ultimate goal is to sell the game. It's not just about having likes or hearts on Facebook and so on, because ultimately it's about people who will go, for instance, to Steam platform and they will click, they want first to wishlist your game before it's released, and then to click, they want to buy your game. So you need to find different tricks how to make people go to Steam or to other platforms, wherever you are selling the game. And it should not be just message, buy this game on the beginning of each post. It's absolutely not working. It pushes people away. When you are doing sales, when you are doing game release, when you are doing some big promo action, you can do this. But when you communicate with your players, with your audience like a normal people, then this is annoying for them to read every time that you should buy our game or our game is great. No, you should say something interesting, something that resonates in their heart, and at the end of the post, by the way, we are selling the game, maybe you want to buy it, something like this. Again, depends on your game, depends on your strategy, depends on how many people are already following you, but the case is that paid advertisement, like displaying the billboard with text, buy your game, or buy our game, is the absolutely worst let's say, resonating post that we ever had. So we, most of the time, when we have any sales on Steam or when we have any promo actions, we just make one post just to keep people informed. Like, you know, we are selling our game at 50% discount, something you may buy it, and then we keep delivering regular content like we do. We are not pushing every day reminders like buy our game, buy our game, buy our game, because people don't see it as something valuable for them, and sometimes they stopped following us. If we have done this action before and we put too much of paid advertisement or too much of direct advertisements, people were simply losing interest in the content that we are delivering to them. So of course, somehow you need to make, somehow you need to communicate to people buy our game, but most of the time it should not be direct communicate like buy my game. And you need to prepare for your biggest steps because you need to have strategy. So first of all, there is the beginning of the development or beginning of your community building, that there is the game release and post-release period when you want to release the game, but usually you have some big steps like announcement of the game when you are releasing the first big trailer of the game. Still, even if the game is indie, doesn't matter if it's AAA or AA or small indie, the trailer is the most important action. Trailers are the most important actions that you can make, because usually trailers get coverage not just in your community, but in the other communities, in the press, in the media, and so on and so on. So you need to plan bigger steps, and you need to plan when you announce your game. You need to make sure when you will start pre-orders or Kickstarter campaign or whatever else. Still, you need to make sure that your communication will be somehow related to the big step, big milestone that you are going to make. And I'm not saying how many of these milestones should be, because it again depends on the scale of your development, but for sure there is the beginning of the campaign, there is kind of announcement of the game, there is announcement of the release date of the game, and a few other steps that you may find useful as a milestones, where you will try to get more attention, where you will try to communicate not just with your community, but also with other communities, for instance, by sending the press release to the media, or by going to some events and exposing your games also to people who would like to be able to to choose it, to test it physically. So the thing is that if you want people to throw their money on you, they can make it from two reasons. First, because they love you in some unspecified way, and the other way because they see the profit. And the profit is not like money for money. Profit is how much I will get for my money from you. So in your communication, you all the time need to build the value of what you are delivering, to show what will be the good stuff in your game, but again, not by annoying advertisement by our game is the best, our game has the best story, our game has the best visuals, our game has the best something. No, you need to build value by showing this is interesting, yes? Do you agree? And some of people agree, some of people don't agree. Then you tell the story, you see, this is the story about the guy who is going to Chernobyl zone to find his lost love, or something like this. Do you like this story? And convince people to like this story, and then convince them to love this story. And if they will love the story, that's this unconditional love, but then they need to see the profit. What is the output? If I will play the game and I will go to Chernobyl and I will look for my lost love, so what will happen? And then you say, well, you will have a lot of adventures, and then you will find the truth, and then you will be exploring the beautiful environment, you will be fighting the dangerous enemies, and you get the feeling of accomplishment if you defeat them. That's the both building the love and profit. But on the other side, people simply want to know that this game will be beautiful, this game will have many hours of gameplay, this game will have many features, this game will have many enemies, weapons, characters, dialogue lines, whatever else. This is also part of the building value or giving profit. You just, again, should not communicate this as the main points. It should be dedicated from what you are showing to your community. And then you should involve your community in your project. For instance, we have done Kickstarter campaign. I'm not saying Kickstarter campaign is good for everyone, but anyway, we wanted to build community also via Kickstarter. So our goal by making Kickstarter was not just to get some money from the community, because we know that even if we will get some amount of money, it will be not enough to finalize the game. But we wanted to make a strategy like we want to go for early access, to start selling the game before it's finished. So to make people interested in early access, first we will make the Kickstarter campaign, because the Kickstarter campaign is bringing, at least it was bringing for us, the most valuable funds. Because actually the people who paid the most for the game via Kickstarter campaign, because they were paying like $100 or even more, depending on what was the pledge level or what was the rewards. So the people who paid the biggest amount of money for our game later on was the biggest voters for everything that we have been doing. Like they were supporting us on social media, they were spreading our posts, they were helping us physically, like many translations of our game to other languages has been done by people who were supporters of us on the Kickstarter. So actually Kickstarter was not a way to get easy money, because it's not easy. I will not have time to talk a lot about this, but making Kickstarter campaign is not easy. But these 3,000 of people who supported us on Kickstarter gave us much more besides of the money. That 100,000 of people who made wish list on Steam or who had bought the game after release of the early access. Of course, later on they got money. I'm not saying it's not worthy. I'm just saying that from the perspective of community building, the most dedicated people are the people that you need to most care about. So you need to keep communicate with people. You need to keep them involved into your project by either making some actions like Kickstarter, like organizing some like early access. Early access is also a way of encouraging your community into building your games, because they are paying for unfinished games, but they are giving you invaluable feedback. And if you appreciate their feedback, if you are discussing with them, they are again becoming stronger and stronger supporters of your idea. So anyway, you need to all the time play with people's attention by making them amazed, intrigued, believing, willing to help, and at the end, you need to keep them satisfied, because ultimately the game has to also to be good, but it's rather obvious. So that will be all for this, let's say, brief summary of how, in my idea, you can think about community building. It's not recipe how you should do this in terms of do this or do this or do this. It's rather explanation of how I feel that if I would be starting this again today, I would be trying to follow similar path, even if the game would be very different, even if I would be doing for this for different target audience, even I will be thinking about different game genre, the basic frame of community building based on the idea that I'm doing the same what social media influencers are doing would be still there. So that would be all.